listening to the Novel Universe Podcast, a monthly YA Lit podcast hosted by Dawn Abram and Elise Martinez, YA librarians from the Chicagoland area. Each episode features reviews and rants on new and upcoming YA books. We're here to help you navigate your TBR pile. What's good, what's bad, and everything in between. I'm Dawn, the criticizer of books.
And I'm Elise, the rejecter of romance.
So turn up the volume. Here we go. Welcome back to the Novel Universe, and today's episode we will be doing our September 2019 predictions, but we're going to start with our cold open, which is something we kind of made up. Maybe someone's done it before, I don't know. I did not do my research. If someone has done it before, my bad.
I was going to say no lack of credit intended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we kind of created a tag, maybe not, called Hot Takes. Bookish Hot Takes. There you go.
There we go.
And these questions, I'm pretty sure no one's done these questions.
I don't think
Maybe
so.
Bookish Hot Takes, someone has called it that, but we came up with these questions on our own. All right, so you can do this tag too if you want to.
Ooh.
And we won't be upset if you don't, like, put our name in it.
No, we will.
Oh, we will be
Are
upset.
you kidding?
I'm sorry. We will be upset.
Steal our stuff, please.
Okay. First question. Last book you threw across the room.
A month ago, I read a book called Minus by Lisa. She had a really crazy last name.
This is YA.
Herzenberger? It is. Yeah, it was a graphic novel.
Oh, okay.
I got it from the publisher, and it was the worst character development. It was the worst story. It was about this girl who, she was raised by this guy who, until the end of the book, she didn't know wasn't her real dad. But it turns out that this guy kidnapped her and, like, didn't tell her that he kidnapped her. But by the end of the book, she, like, doesn't want to go back to her real parents. She wants to stay with her kidnapper. It was a very dangerous story. Like, what the hell? It just, like, apparently she had Stockholm Syndrome, although it doesn't say that in the book. It was a hot fucking mess. I gave that 1 star, and I gave it to a friend to read, and he made a Goodreads account just to give this book 1 star. That's how bad it was.
Of course he would. Oh my god.
So that was the last book I threw across the room. It was called Minus. I don't remember the author's name, but avoid it.
All right. Well, the last book I threw across the room, which is what I was reading last night, which is The Gracier by Kim. Did you figure out how to say her last name?
I think it's Leggett.
Leggett.
Yeah.
So this is pretty popular. I will be doing a review on Goodreads, so if you want to see my full review, you can go to Bang Bang Books. We are also going to review this book in our September wrap-up.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, technically, I didn't throw it across the room because it's on my Kindle, and I was not about to wreck my Kindle for this shitty book. But I had to, I kind of, tossed it on the pillow and just, put my head down and just shook it. I have no words. For, 5 minutes. I'm just I have no words to describe the disgust I feel from this book. So, technically, that would be the last book I, quote-unquote, threw across the room.
Still counts.
It still counts. All right, question 2. What book do you tell everyone not to read?
That's a great question. I tell people...
I have to look it up on my Goodreads. I didn't even answer my own question.
Oh my god. This is hard. I don't know what to say, and I feel bad.
Alyssa, what was the last book you were like, Alyssa, don't read that? Because you know Alyssa will just read anything.
It was We Will Hunt the Flame.
Oh no.
Sorry.
Oh no.
Sorry to any folks out there who loved that book.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to use our friend Alyssa because she just loves everything, and I always tell her, don't do it, and she does it anyway.
Wilder Girls.
Yeah. That was the last book
Yeah.
I told her not to read, was Wilder Girls, and she didn't like it. I was
Yeah.
like, told you so.
Dawn lives for that moment right there.
I don't live for the told you so.
Absolutely fucking do. Oh. All right.
Question 3. Which is worst, bad character development or bad world building?
Character development.
Yeah, I agree.
Hands down, that's my biggest pet peeve. because I've read books that has 0 world development, but the characters are interesting and the first one that comes to mind is like Ember in the Ashes. I really couldn't tell you much about that world other than there was some kind of like revolution conflict happening, but the characters in the first book were what made me interested in the book.
Same's for me. I like a character-driven plot, so if the characters are bad, it's pretty much a no. I'm not gonna enjoy it. Question 4: what makes you uncomfortable to read in YA?
I didn't think that this was weird until you brought it up. I don't know what that says about me, but like sex on a page in YA really bugs me now. Not bugs me, like it's not that it doesn't belong there. It's just like, ooh, I should skip this.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. I can't read sex on the page in YA. It's just because teens are also reading it, and it's just creepy.
Yeah, this experience is not in there for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not technically the target audience. Like, let's skim on past.
I actually stopped reading Nevernight because there was, like, graphic sex on the page, and I thought it was a teen book, and then I realized it wasn't, then I picked it back up. I've said this story before, and then I was like, woohoo! Fellation. But, yeah, when I thought it was a teen, I literally just, like, put it down. I was like, I can't read that. I could tell it was going to be more of the same. So yeah, I cannot read sex in teen books.
Sometimes, like if it's a fantasy, I can get over it because it's not in my world.
Okay.
But if it's a realistic contemporary fiction, ugh.
Even fantasy, the last book that we just read, there was, I was like, I can't read this. Okay, what was your worst author meeting experience? Do you want me to go first? What do you think?
Yeah, go first.
Okay, so this wasn't awful, but it definitely kind of made me feel a certain way about this author now when I see her. Marie Lu. I saw her at a convention where there were several authors, and it was a long day, and there were a lot of authors and a lot of people, and so I'll give her the benefit of the doubt, and she was just not into it anymore. Maybe she was tired. But I'm an awkward, like, fan, so when I go to an author, I usually just say hello. I'm not talking their ear off. I say hello. The only thing I will do is I will ask them to write my favorite quote in the book, or something like such and such love such and such, like if it's a couple that I ship. And I wanted to ask her to put that in her book, and she just kind of looked at me like dead-eyed and was just like she was just not in the mood for this. So I was just like, hi, thank you, bye. So now when I see her, I'm always just like, ooh, she's gonna be in a bad mood. And yeah, and she's like one of my favorite authors, and I was just like, ooh,
that sucks.
That's not good.
Okay. This one is unusual. Dawn and I were at a author, librarian, publisher dinner at ALA several years ago. And the first hour of this event was for the purpose of networking.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
And so
I'm excited.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
I'm just setting it up so that they know what we're talking about. And so we had to mill about the room, and at first I think we were given numbers and had to go to a specific group of people. And I got paired with Daniel Kraus, who wrote The Shape of Water and the whatever his YA horror series is. This man proceeded to basically list his accomplishments in order of least to best, and did not ask anyone in the group any questions about themselves. If anyone acted like we didn't know who he was, he treated it with sarcasm, like we should know who he is. At the time, he was also an editor at Booklist. I'm not saying that this guy isn't accomplished or shouldn't be proud of his accomplishments. You don't just write a movie with Guillermo del Toro and, not be proud of that. But it was the way that he presented his accomplishments to the group and the utter lack of curiosity about anyone else in the room that really pissed me off. To this day, when I hear his name, we joke to each other, oh, it's all boy, or whatever we say. It's like, be proud of your accomplishments. That's amazing. We are here to talk about ourselves, but like you got to return that favor. And we're networking. It's not just about you.
Yeah, so I was at the same dinner,
Yeah.
and I'm across the room talking to a totally different person. I cannot remember the name of the author. What was the name of the author that wrote that weird-ass book?
Dude, that is not even a description that can help me.
It was about the
Vasa in the Night.
Yeah, Vasa in the Night. So I'm
Yeah.
talking to this author. I just read her book. I did not like her book,
Yeah.
but I'm stuck with her.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to be as cordial as possible. And I'm like, oh, I read your book. It was really interesting. I'm trying to find the words to like convey that I like her book. And out the corner of my eye, I see Daniel Cross saunter his ass over. And I was like, oh, he don't look like a good time. I was like, nice talking to you, bye. And I didn't even know that this was the same guy until after the whole event.
Yeah, this was
like,
happening concurrently.
oh my God.
That event was awesome, but so awkward at the same time.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Because then we had to like go sit down for dinner and listen to librarians talk about themselves in the same way. Oh, I was on this committee, and then I went to that committee, and blah 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 blah, and then I did this and that. What did you do? It was like, ugh, I hate that. Where it's like, these are my committee badges. What about you? It was just weird. It was a weird dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The food was great though.
The food was amazing.
Thank God.
It was a tour teen event,
Woo.
and that was a great dinner. Thanks for inviting us,
Yes.
tour team.
Yes, Tor. It was like Tor and Catherine Teagan.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like Catherine Teagan was at this dinner. It was very interesting, but there was some awkward personalities there, which
All right, I don't know what number I'm on. So the next one is author signing pet peeves. So like when you go to an author signing,
I fucking hate when people in line monopolize the author. Can you not see this long ass line behind you?
That's the worst.
This is what Instagram exists for. If you have a story that the author needs to hear or that you feel that they need to hear, message them. Oh my God.
It's the worst.
Don't monopolize the line. They have places to be.
Mhm.
We have places to be. And at ALA, it's so annoying because it's like either a blogger or it's like not really someone who's got panels to get to. It's just like, I hate that. It's not even anything the authors do.
No.
Like,
I
I've
mean,
never
they're just
had a
trying to
bad
be
author
nice.
experience in terms of signing. But
No. Yeah, it's the same for me. It's like,
Yeah.
hello, like you see, like you said, do you see all these people behind you? It's like their signing ends at 2. It is 1:55.
Yeah.
You're at the tail ass end of that line, and you're just like, look like, oh my God. And so I went to an author signing, and it was like a whole panel of people, and I only came to see one person, and it was V. Schwab, and she was right at the end. And then like, so you start at the beginning, and then you just kind of walk down and get all your books signed, and nobody was like going to her because they were too busy. No, it was because they were talking their ass off. And so I was just like, cut the line and went right to her and was like, thank you for the book, bye. Like, I did not want to meet those other people. I was just trying to get the hell out of her. Like you said, I had another thing I had to go to. It's like, yeah, that's the worst.
At conferences, your schedule is back-to-back crap, and if it isn't, you're walking the exhibit hall trying to find stuff, and it's like, just stop talking. Now is not the time.
No.
So I stood in Tom King's line at ALA this past summer, and I swear to God, I was 5th in line, by the way. I hauled ass to see this guy. Really wanted to meet him. I'm 5th in line, I'm waiting to see him, and every single person in front of me not only took an elaborate selfie with this guy, but had to tell him their first memorable, deep experiences reading one of his books. And unfortunately, this person in front of me was like, they were not even a librarian. They were there because they're a psychology doctorate, and somehow they had something to do with his books, or she was an advisor on a graphic novel from DC. And I read the book that she was an advisor in terms of like the psychological content. Shitty book. So I'm like seriously questioning her judgment at this point, but she just went on and on and on about how she works with DC and is a psychology consultant, and I'm like, bitch, we got places to be. And poor Tom King, he's like, oh great, oh okay.
That's the worst when
they
they're
can't
just
leave.
like, no, that's the worst. So the moral of the story is, if this is you, take your ass to the end of the line.
Yeah, seriously.
If you are going to take up all the time. And we tell our teens this all the time when we go to author signings. And since we know some of them are chatty, if you know that you have a lot to say to this author, they changed your life, whatever, that's great, then do everybody a favor and go to the end of the line.
Right.
And then gush all you need to.
Or even like write it down. Like, here, I just want to give you some thoughts about what your books mean to me. Thank you for your time. Bye.
Yeah.
Like, they want to hear this. Like, authors want to hear your feedback and your thoughts, but not at this exact moment.
Especially if you're like an Elizabeth Acevedo
right.
or a Sarah J. Maas, and your line
right.
is going to be, and we have been standing in this line for an hour and a half, and no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We really have some strong opinions on that one.
Because it's really annoying. Okay. Next question. First sign you know a book is going to be bad, so you don't even bother reading it.
Booties on pages.
But how do you know there's booties on pages?
Because the booty is on the page.
But I mean, you haven't even like read it. You just pick it up.
So wait, are we talking like, there's no reading having been done?
Yeah.
If there's a girl in a dress on the cover.
Oh, okay. I like a girl in a dress.
I fucking hate that shit.
So I say I hate doing this, but I continue to do this to myself all the time. If it is a first book in a fantasy series and it is less than 400 pages, I need to put it away. Because usually there's a huge info dump, the world is not developed well, something is amiss. Especially if it's told in first person. Yeah. I can't anymore with the first person under 400 pages. It's a debut fantasy. And when I say debut, I mean it's a first in the series, not like a debut author, but debut author as well. So yeah, that's my answer. Next question. A book that won an award that you didn't like. I got several of those, but...
what was that book in the... I, Claudia? It's not that I didn't like it. I was just like, what was that doing there?
Yeah, that was last year's Prince.
And I was really pissed that Sadie didn't even get an honor.
Yeah.
That was a slap in the face to any feminist anywhere.
It didn't even win. It was a honor book. It was a Prince honor.
Right.
But still. I am gonna say We Are Okay, which won the Prince the previous year. The book was not bad, but I would not consider it a Prince book. Prince is given to, for those of you who don't know, in the library world, it's given to the best YA published book. So critically, it's usually a critical book.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, it was an okay book. I gave it like a 3.5. My teens who read the book at book club didn't like it. So it wasn't even like it had teen appeal. It was just, yeah, no, I don't think that book deserved it.
You know what drives me nuts about that book though is that I don't think that it should have been sold to a YA audience.
Really?
Because the reason that I liked that book so much is because I felt like that at college. And until you're in that moment where you are isolated and you don't know fucking anybody.
That's true. It should have been a new adult book.
Yeah,
She's in college.
Really
She's not even in high school.
Everything that was on that page, apart from the family trauma, I was like, wow, that was written in a way where it was like, I am back in that room by myself, alone on campus, waiting for my family to come pick me up over Thanksgiving break. And just that sense of isolation. I went for my first semester in college was out of state, so I didn't have anybody around. And I thought it was poignantly done in a good setting to put a character who's depressed and dealing with trauma in. So I can understand that a teen wouldn't like it because they're they don't understand that experience yet, unless they themselves have gone through family trauma. But yeah, I mean I agree. I don't think it was Prince-worthy.
All right, last question. Something you wish publishers would just stop doing.
Okay, so we talked at length about this one. We can't stand it when authors do, or not the authors, I apologize. Publishers are like, this book is such and such meets such and such. So for example, The Gracier, just because we're currently reading that one, this book is The Handmaid's Tale meets The Lord of the Flies. It's can you stop? Because then I'm comparing the book to the literary merit of both of those two examples. I don't think it's fair to an author trying to be original and writing their own story when you're I understand that it's for the purpose of selling the book, but you know what? They do that because there's not enough shit inside the book for them to make it a compelling sell. That's what I'm claiming.
You just figured it out.
Elise just
had a light. I just saw the light bulb go over her head.
Honestly.
Yeah.
You should spend the time pulling apart your own product and telling people why they should read this book for its own merit and reason. Not because of a book somebody else wrote that somebody else enjoyed. That cheapens the author's work.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I hate that. It's for all the same reasons why you said it.
It needs to stop.
Make it stop. All right, so that was our
hot takes.
Bookish hot takes book tag.
If you do this, we would love to hear it and see your responses. So tag us on our Instagram at the Novel Universe or at Novel Universe Pod.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, let's get into our September predictions.
Wonderful.
September is a big YA book month.
Yeah, no kidding.
Hella books.
Hella
are out.
books.
And I have been reading September books since July, so I've read a lot already. So it's kind of hard for me to find 4 books that I haven't read that I can talk about for the podcast. But I did. And I'll start because I'm talking. The first one I'm going to read is The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. This is about Ren and her parents. And her parents have died, and so for her and her siblings to eat and survive, they become grave diggers. And this town has fae, which I did not know. So the town has fae, and when I guess there's some kind of like legend in the town that the dead don't stay dead, and maybe it has something to do with the fae. I don't know. The description was weird. And so anyway, this mysterious boy comes to town, of course, and he has something to do with the dead rising. And so Ren and this guy named Elise, I believe, have to figure out how to stop the dead from rising. I was excited about this book until I found out that it has fae in it. I don't like fae. So I'm just going to say a 3.5. I have yet to read a fae book that I like. So, yeah, there you go.
Even Sarah J. Maas?
No, I didn't like that book. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not counting that. I thought you were talking about Court and Thorns and Stupids. I'm talking about
Courts of Thorns and Stupids.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, they were fae, but it wasn't really a fae world where it's like, oh, you can't lie to me, and oh, that, you know, all that world stuff. Like, I don't like that stuff.
Okay. My first September pub is Slay by Brittany Morris. I keep hearing about this book everywhere. The cover's cute, so let's give it a shot. It's about Kira Johnson. She is a very academically strong teen. She's the only black teen at Jefferson Academy. But
That's true. But anyway, go ahead.
That's what Goodreads says.
Goodreads lied.
Goodreads. This is a word for word. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
One of the only black kids at Jefferson Academy. My bad. So what? There's 3.
4.
Oh my god. But back at home, she joins hundreds of thousands of black gamers who duel worldwide as Nubian personas in a secret multiplayer game known as... Wait. Multiplayer online role-playing card game Slay. That's intense.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Nobody knows that she's a game developer, like not her family, her boyfriend, nobody. But when a Kansas City teen is murdered over a dispute in this like Slay world, the game itself is labeled as racist, exclusionist, a violent hub for thugs and criminals, and so she kind of has to take up the mantle for this game and like basically, yeah. You read this already?
I did.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I said I might give this a 3.75 because I'm getting major The Hate You Give vibes from like, you know, a teen having to use their voice to stand up for their community. We'll see how that plays out. And I'm also hoping that I get a very detailed look into the world of a gamer because I am not one. And I think that would add to the depth of the story. So that's what I'm going to be looking for.
Okay. Just to go back to the Bone Houses, one of our hot take questions was, what do you put down immediately? The first sign of book is going to be bad. And I said less than 400 pages. So yeah, I'm going against my own jam because The Bone Houses is a book 1 and it is less than 400 pages. It's 352, which is an immediate red flag, but we'll see. Okay, so my second one is a first book in a fantasy series, and it is 500 pages, so there that goes. It's Kingdom of Souls by Irina Baron.
I've never even heard of this book.
I hadn't either. We got it in our book box. I was like, who is this? What's this? It's a black girl on the cover. So, of course, it's fantasy and a black girl on the cover. I'm going to read it. So this is about... Here we go. Okay. Can I just say something to authors? What happened to names like Tammy or Kiki. Like, why do all these fantasy names have to be Araya and freaking, like, I can't pronounce these names.
Cool.
I can't
because they sound.
It's annoying.
Cool.
Anyway, Ara. Let's go with Ara.
Arya.
That's too Game of Thrones. So it's like, it can't be Arya. That's Game of Thrones. So let's go with Ara. Her magic is not coming in.
What the hell?
What do you mean?
There's like so much magic not coming in. Magic this, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. And her mother is like really upset about it because she's of a certain age. It should have come in already and it hasn't. And so her only option to get her magic is to trade her life. So basically, days are taking off her life if she is willing to do that, and she will get magic. But of course, she's like, I don't want to do that. But the Demon King is starting to take children. And so Ara must make a quick decision to save the children and trade her life, basically, or to let the children die. Of course, what do you think she's going to choose?
Let the children die.
She's going to choose let the children die. I am going to give this a 3.5 prediction. Ooh. Simply because this is a debut, and I found that debut fantasy authors, it's slim pickings. So I'm going to give it a 3.5.
All right. My next September book is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that last name. This features a girl named Louise LeBlanc, who is a witch who has fled her coven and taken shelter in the city of Cesarine. She's forsaken all of her magic and is basically like living off of the scraps in the street. She's trying to lay low because witches are hunted and burned. And meanwhile, at the same time, this guy named Reed Diggory has been sworn to the church as a chasseur. I'm assuming that's some kind of like soon-to-be priest type situation. This clearly is like in a alt-France situation. He's lived by his life by one principle, which is obviously like, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Inevitably, these two people's paths cross, and a stunt pulled by them to protect themselves results in both of them married. And hijinks ensue. So I am giving this, I'm predicting a 4.25. I'm gonna go high on this one because it is long.
Talk about me and my 2.5s, and
well,
there you go.
I know, but you see, I bitch, but I do it because of you. I didn't before.
Just blame me. Okay.
So I'm interested in witches. I'm interested in like the conflict of the church versus the witch. And that'll be interesting. I want to like, there's a little bit of a mystery here. It's like and I like the alt-France setting. The book does not say that that's where it's set. It's just, I don't know, that's what I'm picking up on. I want some serious world building, and I wouldn't mind a slow burn romance. And to piggyback off of your less than 400 pages, this book is over 500. Damn. So I'm hoping for some really good content here. Yeah.
She's brave to name her character Diggory.
Like, I was gonna say that. I was like, Cedric Diggory is a little bit of a hollowed name.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. My next one is His Hideous Heart, which is an anthology of Edgar Allan Poe stories. I am going to predict a 3.5 simply because, well, there's two reasons. One, the authors in the anthology, yeah, I don't know if... sorry, we almost had a crash.
I'm sorry.
The authors, I don't want to be so, I haven't like, I know,
damn it, I went down this track and now you're literally
like, I'm trying to figure out, I haven't enjoyed the books. They're real long books. So, and also, I'm not, Elise is dying. I don't
Your
like
physical reaction was hilarious. All right, I'm sorry.
I don't like anthologies.
Yeah.
But I love Edgar Allan Poe, and I am waiting to get a good retelling of Edgar Allan Poe. The Raven's Tale, I think it was called, by Kat Winters, was just not a good book. I was very upset about that. So yes, it is my quest to find a good Edgar Allan Poe retelling.
There's so much potential here, and the fact that no one's managed to pull it off yet is a little weird to me. Or at least in YA.
I think it's because, I mean, as much as Edgar Allan Poe is revered, there's not a lot about his life.
Right.
Like, he died.
But regardless, like, even in his stories, like, there's this little scene could, like, which is basically what his stories are, can be so extrapolated. I don't know. I didn't read that book, so. There was one House of the Fall of Usher. What? No, is that his story?
That's his story.
There was a book that came out several years ago that was like a retelling of that. But this is also a September pub that I will be reading. I am predicting a 3.75.
You're the one up me with your 2.5.
Likewise, okay. I also don't tend to enjoy anthologies, but like Dawn, I really, really hold Poe's stories to heart. I'm excited to see it repackaged for teens. I am most excited for Murders in the Rue Morgue by Rin Chupeco, The Cask of Amontillado by Tiffany D. Jackson, and The Telltale Heart, which is written by Stephanie Kuhn. So we'll see what happens with that one.
All right, and my last September read will be The Deathless Girls by Kieran Millwood Hargrove. And this is the untold story of the brides of Dracula. I just kind of saw this as I was perusing Goodreads, and I was like, I like Dracula. Let's give this a try. And she's an adult author, so this is her. And you know how we feel about adult authors who write teen for the first time. Sometimes it's not great. So
indeed,
they tend to
write like they're writing for adults,
or they dumb it down.
Yeah,
it's like, it's one of those. So. I'm going to predict a 4 just because she's an adult author. Let's see.
I have 2 books. I'll breeze through them quickly. The first is The Gray Seer by Kim Liggett. Did you say that already? No. Okay, so I am going to predict 4 stars. The plot synopsis sounds interesting. Again, this is the one that's supposed to be hailed as The Handmaid's Tale meets The Lord of the Flies. Both of those are really dark, intense books, and I like dark, intense things. I am excited and hoping for some potential feminist horror. I think this is a genre that is new, especially in YA. We'll see if it delivers, but yeah. I won't talk about that too much because we'll go into it in our September wrap-up. And last but not least, I won't go into this one, but we're also reading, obviously, There Will Come a Darkness by Katie Rose Poole. If you're new to the podcast, we are doing a read along with the universe. Every Sunday, we are rehashing about 10 chapters.
Yeah,
a little bit more than 10. Yeah. So you can catch those episodes on Sundays in September. So obviously, we're both reading that one. High hopes for There Will Come a Darkness.
Like I said earlier in the podcast, I've read a lot of September pubs, so I will be doing either on Instagram or because I put on Instagram books that didn't make it into the pod, and I will do a review there. But I will try to get Slay in just because Elise read it, so I will have some information to add to it. I'll also be talking about Frankly in Love by David Yoon. Dear Haiti, Love Elaine. I don't remember the author's name, sorry.
It's
Sisters, yeah. And Dark Dawn, which is book 3 in the Nevernight series by Jay Kristoff. I read a whole bunch more, but those were the biggest ones.
Micah and Maritza Mulite?
Well, they're Haitian.
They are Haitian.
That's why the names.
Very French. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it.
That was it for today. Again, catch our Read Along with the Universe podcast every Sunday in September to follow along as we read There Will Come a Darkness. We will see you in the next one.